The franchise Shane Douglas, and you watching Pounding the Meat.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Culture Shock Live. Let's get straight to the point. I'm going to bring my crew on. We got Joe V. We got Easy E. We all in the place to be. How's everybody doing?
Ready to get down to talking wrestling. Let's go.
You're muted, buddy.
Fuck wrestling at this point, because you know what happened? They brought the green monsters back sugar-free. I love the green monsters, man. I can't drink sugar energy drinks anymore, so I'm happy.
I can't do monsters or energy drinks like that.
A sugar-free green one is clutch. I'll give you that one, because the green one was one of my favorites, but I gotta see it because right now I'm addicted to like Celsius and stuff like that.
I haven't tried Celsius.
So good.
It'll probably change your whole outlook.
David Babel gave a seal of approval, so I was like, hold off. Just try out later. After that scooter gets up and going.
But let's say what's up to the crowd.
King J. Sean.
King J?
Hey, love the picture of the crumb rind that Ish put up. Beautiful.
Hit one of us up. We'll bring you on. Set something up.
Yeah, bro.
What's up, Miguel?
Yo.
Panetta.
Double P Panetta.
Canadian.
What's up, Badoy?
Little John.
You guys handle this.
Shotgun.
Eric Shakau.
What up, Juan?
Yo.
Yes, we did. We've gotten a few others. We're reviewing them right now.
I heard that Panetta put his resume in at another podcast. I'm just saying that's what I heard. So word on the street.
They just did the chip challenge, so
Did they really though?
It was an attempt.
It was like one person who I've never heard of. See, here's the thing with the chip challenge. Everybody wants to challenge Panetta, but they forget that Jones as well. Like, you just can't do the chip challenge and say, oh, I challenge you. No, you got to do the gummy, then the gum.
Bro, they got to get through the wife first. The wife smashed all these people. Saying.
Y'all know how to reach me.
My DMs are open. Oh, speaking of DMs, guess what I'm doing this weekend, fellas? I don't know if you guys see Nick Carnival's live. He was worried about he's buying a Snoop Dogg belt, and the guy seemed a little sus. So the dude's like 30, 45 minutes from me, so I'm just gonna go pick it up for him. So he has peace of mind, and then I'll just ship it out to him. But I wanted to see the Snoop Dogg belt anyways, because I like the stacked plates and want to see it. So I figure, worth a little drive.
Not bad. What up, Justin?
Yo,
emo.
emo.
What kind of emo are we talking about, though?
We're here to talk about wrestling.
I know. I'm just saying, when emo brings up emo music, it's like, are we going like Yellow Card? Are we going like AFI? What are we doing here?
Fair water boy.
Some high quality ethuo.
Better man than I am, John.
It's understandable.
They couldn't meet my $2,500 a week. They just couldn't.
What up, Dave?
What up? Hello, sir. All right. So guys, what do you want to start with today? Because we got some hot topics.
Are they really that hot?
They are.
I'm being a pessimist today.
There's some hot juice.
You know what?
You want to get the other stuff out the way first?
Yeah. I mean, why not? Because we could save the best one for the last one.
Okay. Well, we've got a difference in a whole different show appeal from last week's Monday Raw compared to SmackDown compared to this week's Raw.
Yep.
It didn't feel as, oh my God, what am I doing? Let me just change this, change that. It felt like it kind of flowed.
I mean,
is there something I'm missing that I didn't realize?
so go ahead.
Go ahead, Joey. Go ahead.
So last Monday, the night after WrestleMania, Vince was there rewriting scripts like 3 to 4 times over. And it was just, a shit show. And then if you look at SmackDown from last Friday and Monday from this, Raw from this Monday, completely different. Why is that? Well, Vince was not at both of those shows. Like, I mean, we all know SmackDown is better than Raw in general. So, I mean, but like last Friday, SmackDown was good. This past Monday, the Usos versus Alpha Academy. Damn, that match was really good, that tag match. Even though a lot of talent were not able to make it to this past Raw, it still had a better show than last Monday. And I think that's credit to Triple H doing that and Vince not being there. And there's also been reported that Triple H will be the sole producer of the WWE draft coming up.
That could be good. But go ahead, Ethan.
I just wish Vince, this sounds so bad. I just wish Vince was not coherent enough to just put his finger in anything. Just let Triple H do what he needs to do. Like, because it's like 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. And Vince is just bad for wrestling. There's no way to, he's just bad for wrestling. He's bad for sports entertainment.
Okay. Like it was said from both of you. Like Triple H is the one that needs to kind of run it at this point. Check it back to the Survivor Series where the flights got stuck and they had to call in everybody from NXT. That was a Triple H audible. That's the type of stuff we like to see. So this is something consistently I like to see from him, and like work on the fly. Like you shouldn't have to work on the fly, but obviously things happen. You can't guarantee people are always going to be where they're supposed to be. Pardon me.
But how does that work environment go for him though when you have the constant loom of Vince over your shoulder? Like at some point, it's like that movie Office Space, Triple H is there at his cubicle just hacking away, and here comes Vince. Did you get the memo about the CPS reports? And it's just...
But here's the thing about that. There's the more and more comes out about this, there's some clauses in Vince's contract. So Endeavor has a way out with him. He has to abide by some code of conducts. His power level is actually 19. His controlling stock is down to 19%, not the 49% originally thought. So he doesn't have that veto power anymore. So they can term him. They would have to pay him, but they can term him.
The best thing that could happen for the WWE is Vince catches another case. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it. Vince catches another case and just has to go away. Like I said, I'm so like I've resorted to watching the highlight reels on YouTube because it's just I'm gonna be let down, and I don't want to be let down again. It was just starting to look up, and then Vince McMahon rears his 80-year-old head again.
Well, I was on TikTok the other day, and I probably saw the best analogy ever as far as what's going on with Vince McMahon and Triple H. Consider it like Triple H has been slow cooking this beautiful stew with vegetables and meats and stuff like that in there. Like the aroma, the seasonings are all great. Vince McMahon comes in, takes all the meat, the vegetables out, and replaces it with marshmallow and candy.
I get it. And then that's the thing is just we as wrestling fans, I'm not as hardcore as like Joey and some of the other guys are. You know, I'm the passive wrestling fan. Watch it when it interests me. When it doesn't interest me, I'm like, you know, I'll just keep up on it, so at least I know what I'm talking about a little bit. But the drastic change from when Vince was gone, well, when Vince was in control to when Vince is gone, and then the scary side of that Monday night after Mania, it was just horrifying. There was no other way around it.
Yeah, well, I can't argue with you. Like it's hard. It's not so much of this hard to watch, but it's like because I'm a wrestling guy, I'm gonna watch no matter what. But
I actually started watching some TNA, bro. Not even gonna lie. It was on the YouTube the other day, and I was just like, you know what? Dude was relinquishing his title because he's got a fucked up arm.
Oh,
I don't know his
Josh
name.
Alexander.
Yeah.
That was hard to watch because his kids tried to stole the belt. I was like, oh man.
Well, but it at least interested me more than WWE at that point. So I was just like, just fucking throw it on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was.
People turn over in their grave saying I'm watching WWE or fucking TNA.
People need to give it a shot. It's not as bad as everybody thinks it's going to be. It's an alternative. So it's like it doesn't have the big production value that WWE has. It doesn't even have the production value of an AEW.
Yeah.
But it's wrestling. It has a grittier feel, and they get their storylines across pretty well.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with WWE's for me, and just wrestling in general is like as I get older, my attention span just gets worse and worse. So it's just like, unless you're gonna hook me like Sammy hooked me with the Uso storyline and the Bloodline and that kind of stuff, I'm just like, it is what it is at this point.
I got you. Let's see. The next topic we'll talk about is we have some unhappy employees that's feeding off of what we were talking about with Vince and Triple H. People who want to leave still. Look at. You said you hadn't watched, but did you see the clips of when? Well, this one you had to see clips of because it was fan footage. Remember, Seth Rollins came out for a promo.
Oh, the producer stopped him in the middle of their commercial. Yeah,
like there's some innuendos, and from looking at it, his body language looked like he was
pissed.
What you mean? I just danced all the way out here just to, hey, look who finally decided to join us. Like his body language was off. Like I danced out here. He's the guy who's always reliable, but he's never the guy. So, and then you bring in I get it. It's like this happens in a lot of other companies. MJF even went through something like this. You're bringing in other people, you're putting them in spots that technically your guys who have been loyal to you should be in.
But I think that goes back to Vince and his ego, and he knows who he can step on. Vince has this list of people that he knows he can push aside and cast aside. They might be upset, but they're not going to quit. They're going to take their lump, and just when Vince comes calling back, they'll come running like a puppy dog wagging their tail.
We're talking about the unhappy employees, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, I think in years past, when you had unhappy employees, Vince was able to calm them down, get them to stay. Like, there's been a lot of people in the past that wanted to leave, but they stayed. But I think now with this time, with the whole scandal with Vince and being way over the times, like with wrestling, and they see how good Triple H is, how things are run very different with Triple H behind the helm. If they see Vince coming back, I think it's real. I think it's true. I think you're going to see a lot of people wanting to dip. And plus now there's much more options. There's more companies out there than before, where it was just WWE, WCW, and then WWE Impact. There's way more options available, and there's more room to eat. Even though WWE is the bigger platform, but there's still other places where you can make your money.
And that's the thing, is I think guys like Matt Cardona, and Moxley, these guys, that indie thing, man, they eat pretty well off that indie thing, man. And they really paved a way for, if you don't want to do the mainstream, you can do the indie thing, and you're gonna have a solid career at it. It's not WrestleMania, but they've had their moments.
Yep.
Cardona's already had his Mania moment. He won the Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match. He really doesn't have to capture that moment again. So that's his thing. He was like, and because he's had that moment, he can demand more money from the indie promotions.
Oh, I just read the most atrocious. I'll quit right now if this happened. Off topic, but Roy Wilson just posted it. Roman Reigns would have to hold the title until Backlash 2028 to beat Bruno Sammartino's record of 2,803 days.
Yeah, I've seen that. Hopefully,
no.
Hopefully they don't go that.
Well, that can lead us into our next topic.
Yes.
Because you want me to say it or you go?
You can go. You had some time off.
Yeah. Fixing some stuff. So Roman Reigns wants to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40.
Seth Rollins wants to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40.
I don't hate it, but again, I need Roman to lose. I'm that guy. I like Seth.
The guy who should win.
I like Seth. I think Seth has been a workhorse. I didn't like Seth before, and he really grew on me. Like Gunther, just grew on me, and I would have no problem with that. Just take it away from Roman, please.
I don't think they're going to do that. And I don't think they should, because of the heat he generates and the level he's going on. That they're not like... It was funny, I'm watching a Bully Ray interview with Chris Van Vliet. He's been watching a lot of these interviews the past 2 days. And Bully Ray said there's a difference between MJF and Roman Reigns as a heel. When MJF comes out, people cheer him. They want him to be a face. Like, on a nightly basis, you don't know if he's a face or a heel.
He's the Stone Cold heel.
But when Roman comes out, it's straight heat. Like, they boo him. So you can't... I mean, Roman's red hot right now. Until you get somebody that's built up enough to beat Roman, they're not going to take the title off of him.
I think a lot of that you have to manufacture, and you have to manipulate the fan into doing that. And back in the heyday, they were able to do that. But with Roman, he's so one trick pony.
But there was a lot of wrestlers that were one trick. Hogan was a one trick pony, and he held the title for over 4 years. Mm-hmm.
That's true, Nico.
All right, here's what I'll say on this. If we're going off what the past was, it was a whole different scenario. Think about it. We really just had Saturday morning TV, so you got an hour the big names fighting jobbers. There was no Raw. There was no SmackDown. No Nitro for one period of time. So, and it was only 4 pay-per-views. So everything was spaced out. So you had the time to develop the pay-per-views. You had to go watch the pay-per-view to see the storyline start, or a Saturday, a special Saturday night's main event. Look, they kept Warrior and Hogan away from each other for damn near 6 months.
They did the same thing with Taker and Hogan for a year.
Like, you would see that they would come this close to touching, and then you would just like, nah. So
that's another thing. I think Raw needs to be 2 hours max. That 3-hour bullshit.
I've said it should have been 2 hours for the longest. The third hour drags in some instances, but in other episodes it flies. So it's a week to week basis where you don't know what you're getting. Like it sucked in one aspect of it at one point, but when the cruiserweight division had their hour on Raw, it made sense.
But like whoever clocked on the Raw after Mania, and then I know we all know it was an atrocious Raw, but in the 3-hour show there's 33 minutes of wrestling.
That's Vince.
That's Vince, but that's what we're gonna get until Endeavor goes through their process of, you know, every CEO or every management gets their time to fail.
Well, it wasn't like that on SmackDown and Raw this past week. With Vince not being there, it helps out a lot because Triple H is able to run the show and is able to do his thing. If Vince is there, then we're basically screwed. So I agree with Justin because there's another thing that Bully Ray said in that interview. He said a lot of people are like, yo, why don't you step aside? You know, make way for the younger talent. And he said this, if the younger talent can do what I do, then by all means, I'll step aside. Until they do that, I'm not going to.
There's no point.
But there's no consistent run for younger talent to be able to do that either. Because you always regurgitate a Goldberg match. Or I know the Saudi thing they just announced coming up. I mean, they're going to fucking want Yoko and Goldberg to face Warrior and fucking Undertaker, or you know, it's just.
But if you give the younger talent a chance and they don't do nothing with it, then it's on them. Like same thing with Karrion Kross. Triple H brought Karrion Kross back. He gives them a little platform. Here you go. Go do what you
story to run into.
Yeah, go do what you did, like you did in NXT. He didn't do it, nothing with it. So guess what? You're regulated down. You gotta. For Triple H is very old school. You got to work your way up to get to that level. He's going to give you a chance, all you want. But if you don't get there, get to where he thinks you should be, guess what? He's going to put you in the doghouse and make your ass work your way back or show him something.
It worked wonders for him. Look what happened to him after the curtain call.
Yeah, he was supposed to win King of the Ring that year. Imagine that. If he would have won it instead of Stone Cold,
yeah,
what would have happened? But
Stone Cold was inevitable, but it would have been pushed back at least a year.
I mean, Hall and Nash were leaving. Shawn was the champion, so
he wasn't getting.
Who were you going to punish? You were going to punish Triple H, and Triple H took
that brotherly love.
Triple H took his lickings, and he started from the bottom. Vince put him all the way down there, and he, to his credit, he worked his way back up.
I always fall on the pessimistic side of fucking Vince. Vince until the day he dies is just somehow gonna just take his put his pinky in there and just fuck it up.
I mean, he could, but as long as he stays away from Raw and SmackDown, like not there, the better. But if he is there,
did they say why he wasn't there, or just?
No.
There's speculation, but nothing solid. Personally, I think it's because he was told to stay away. Because I only really think he took over Raw is because the Endeavor bosses were there watching.
And I'm sure they were probably like, yo, what the hell is all these scripts going on? You know?
All those script changes, they're probably looking like, I thought we brought you in because you knew control. So if you're doing all this changing, we don't like that.
that's the only real thing you can hope for is Endeavor smart enough to be like, well, when Triple H is running it, it runs this way. When Vince, every time you touch it, something's fucked up. Really.
I wouldn't be shocked if Endeavor were speaking to some of the wrestlers and the performers about, what they like and what they don't like. I mean, I wouldn't be upset about it.
I feel like at that big of a merger of a company, you'd have to.
Yeah.
You pull the top percent of talent, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But it also goes back to our last topic, the unhappy employees, because of Seth Rollins. Like last Monday, he came out during the commercial, and then, producer comes up to him, or whoever came up to him and told him something, and he threw the mic down and walked out. And Freddie Prinze Jr. said that he was backstage at Raw, and Rollins was legit pissed. Like, yo, you keep changing this shit on me. Like, Rollins is another one that's unhappy. Like, he just doesn't. Like, what the hell are we doing here? But
if he becomes too unhappy, Becky will become unhappy.
I was just gonna say that.
Yep.
They come off as a package deal to me.
So that's a dangerous line we're crossing.
It is.
Okay. Now that we got that out the way, I guess we'll get to the main event that some people have been dying to hear about. Well, I'm going to apologize to you all because probably about a month back, I saw this. I've had discussions and saw this coming and just didn't bring it up. So I apologize. This wouldn't necessarily be breaking news at this point. But CM Punk's name's been popping up a lot lately. To the point where now there's discussions on how to bring him back to AEW. The plans are in motion. And this is another, I'll say this. I'm going to give everybody else a chance to speak on it, but I'm going to say this right now. I honestly see this as another scenario similar to what Endeavor did with Vince McMahon. You got to remember, Discovery and technically owns them now since they bought Warner. So they want that big name because AEW, I don't care what you fans say, they do not have that big name. They have indie darlings, they have New Japan people, but they do not have that big name that's just marketable.
How many shows have you booked? Wow.
I booked several shows a year on my WWE 2K series. Ooh. So I'm good. My WrestleManias have always sold out. So
solid.
But it's just that big name drawing power. Like you just said, Wembley. You're going to need the likes of a CM Punk to fill that arena. Even FTR or like Dax Hard, whatever FTR has said, you put CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite, that will sell out Wembley. And I have a hard time arguing with that. But I'll let you guys handle that part from now.
Phew, man. I've been saying on the show for a long time, ever since the incident happened backstage with the Elite, that AEW needs Punk. They need him for the star power. You just need him as a big name there. They miss him badly. I mean, you need to finish that chapter with MJF. I mean, even Punk's willing to mend fences. Like, how serious is he? I don't know. But, he's willing to have a sit down with Jericho, hash out your problems. You don't have to like each other. But as long as you do business in the ring, like I'll bring up Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. They didn't like each other backstage. But guess what? When it got time in the ring, They did business. So I could see Jericho and Punk, like, you know, they've never been like the best of friends, but they've been cordial and cool with each other, you know, in the past. So I could see them, you know, Punk wanting to sit down with Jericho. Like he said, hell no, Juan, hell no.
Him and Sting.
So, I mean, I can see Punk, you know, I understand where Punk's going with wanting to sit down with Jericho mend fences. Same thing with the Elite. Yo, let me sit down and talk with them and let me see what I can do, you know? Hey, listen, all that stuff is in the past. Let's do business like professionals and we both can make money. So, I mean, there is talks of bringing Punk back for the June 21st Dynamite in Chicago, which makes sense. Because when is Forbidden Door? Do you have a date for that?
It's that same weekend.
Same weekend?
Mm-hmm.
So, have Punk come back? I mean, yo.
It's the inevitability if you look, like you said, you look at AEW's roster. CM Punk is the needed devil. He's the
That's MJF.
Nah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know. I have opinions on MJF. I think he is a fantastic mouthpiece, but he can't carry a company. And CM Punk is just that necessary evil. Bring him back. Let Jericho have their little fucking powwow, and at some point it's either, you know, ride the horse or get off. I mean,
That's true.
Well, Jericho probably thinks he's that star, but he's no longer really that star anymore. He's the grizzled vet who's just there, to help put over younger talent. He's still, like, people still sing Judas every time he comes out. I get it. It's catchy. But are we really going to say, I'm going to sing Judas?
Speaking of Jericho, I want to know this. How do you think Adam Cole felt when Tony pitched him the idea about being Keith Lee's manager?
So at this point, Vince still got his wish because Adam Cole looked like Keith Lee's manager last night.
If anybody doesn't know the story, so Vince wanted Adam Cole to be Keith Lee's manager in WWE. Adam Cole was like, hell no, I'm not a manager. I'm out. I'm leaving. If you watched Dynamite last night, it looked like Adam Cole was Keith Lee's manager. Woo! Full circle, baby. Full circle.
What do you say? It's like, oops.
Just see.
I know this. I have a feeling this summer of wrestling is gonna either fucking be really good or just crash. There's not gonna be a middle. It's just gonna be really good or it's just gonna crash hard.
You know, with wrestling, like, I don't have the expectations like I did when I was a kid. But, you know, I mean, like, with, like, the event, like, you got Backlash coming up. Not WrestleMania Backlash like Cody did on Monday and messed it up. Just Backlash. You know, Roman will not be there, which is understandable. You'll have Cody versus Brock. You'll probably have the Usos against KO and Sami Zayn, or you could do the Usos and Solo versus Sami Zayn and KO and Matt Riddle in a 6-man match. Whatever. But I mean, with wrestling now, I mean, don't have that much expectation, but you know, if like something like, I'm excited for Wembley Stadium. I'm excited for Forbidden Door. It just like, I need to see the matches that they're having.
Some build up.
Yeah, it's the build-up. Like, we look at AEW pay-per-views, you know, like it's 3 months, and people are always like, yo, when are they going to start building? And then when they start building towards it, you know, you're like, man, this. You look at the AEW pay-per-views, some of them, not all, but some, and you go, you know, I don't know about this card. Like, same thing we do with WWE, but then it blows your mind. You're like, holy shit, this is really good. But then there's also like, yo, man, this card's really good. And then it sucks. Same thing with like UFC. There'll be a card where I'm like, man, it's just like the title fight as the main event, and then the co-main event, and then the 3 matches before that, you know, the 3 fights on the main card. I'm like, oh, man, that's going to be... But then they're all bangers, and you're like, holy shit, that was an amazing card.
Although, I'm trying to think of a Saudi show that I've been blown away by recently.
Stop trying.
It's been a while. Well, is that the next show, May 27th? So that's like the next one?
Here's the thing you got to remember about the Saudi shows. It's an international house show. So it really does not exist in the continuity of any storylines.
See, I heard the Saudis were going to give Hogan a gold hip, and he was gonna wrestle.
See, here's the issue. They haven't picked it up without Punk, John. They haven't. They miss Punk. They need Punk for that star power. They will fill Wembley Stadium. They'll fill it, I mean, a good amount. But if you have Punk there, say like against an Omega, or Punk and FTR versus the Elite, imagine how many more fans will show up.
Joey, are we really talking to John, or is that a bootleg John?
You know, it crossed my mind. I don't know. It could be... You know, you got like a lot of scammers these days. It could be a different one.
Let me pick up that Big Eagle this weekend, John. I'll verify it's you. We'll go from there.
All right.
Is that Scratch Big Eagle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that on his YouTube, man. In his YouTube, it didn't look like he liked that very much, so I don't think he needs it.
I got that impression. I'm like, I got a nice PTM belt I finished.
I don't think it's a I don't think he's an Achilles, because like both of you said, Punk is a name. It's kind of hard to say it's an Achilles, because okay, I'm gonna go back on this. Look, people keep saying it was all Punk's fault. There's multiple people at fault here. We need to start at the top. Tony could have stopped it. Mm-hmm. Tony could have had his mic cut and say, all right, next guest.
Not only that, but Tony enabled it with his actions leading up. As much as he fanboyed, he enabled CM Punk's attitude that rubbed everybody else the wrong way with the way Tony fanboyed CM Punk at every scrum and press conference, and it was sickening after a while.
I have an issue with... So I don't have an issue with WWE doing a scrum after like a WrestleMania. Makes sense. Really big show. I don't think AEW needs to do a scrum after every freaking pay-per-view. You're not UFC. Like, don't do it. Like, what's the point? Like, now, when Tony did it, it was just fine. When it was just him talking to the media, I can get that. Okay? I'm fine with that. But don't bring out the wrestlers to talk. You know, it's like you're making it too like UFC, you know, back there with Punk going off. I mean, I understand that's Punk's true feelings. I understand that, you know, he's going to say what he wants to say. And I don't blame him for it. It's how he felt. But it's also a lot of these writers and reporters like that, you know, like they just like these, like last week with UFC, when I was talking about it last week, these reporters will ask like stupid ass questions to try to flip the narrative, and Dana White's like, yo, stop asking stupid questions, like, or he'll just ignore it. Like, a lot of these writers will write stuff. It's basically clickbait articles is what they do. And it's any writer at all will have a clickbait article.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way journalism, alleged journalism works nowadays. You got to have, it doesn't matter what your content is as long as you can say something stupid and get clicks.
like you could say like Tony could be like this. Tony would be like, yo, I think, say if he said something like this, oh man, yeah, I'm talking to Punk, but I don't know, if we're gonna bring him back, we'll see. And then the article for the writer would be like, Khan doesn't want Punk back. And you're like, what the hell? Like, the writer, these writers will take shit and flip it to fit their narrative.
You see, I go through that. I'm a Niner fan, so we went through a lot of quarterbacks last year, and Brock Purdy came out and did a great job, but you still have Trey Lance in the background, and they'll take something that like Kyle Shanahan or John Lynn says, and they'll just twist it in this way where you're like, they're talking about trading Trey Lance for a 7th round pick, and you're like, he didn't even say that. He just said he has to prove it because Brock Purdy came in and got them to the NFC Championship game.
So I see it a lot in my line of work, and there's only like a few like journalists, media members, writers, whatever, that I'll read or listen to because the truth. You just know.
We have one for the 49ers. His name is Grant Cohn. He works for Sports Illustrated for the 49ers, but when it comes down to his opinion, he's a prick.
Yeah.
He was the guy, I don't know if you've seen it last year. He was the guy that Javon Kinlaw from the 49ers went on his live and threatened to beat him up and went and fucking ripped his hat off of him on the field. This guy's like 5'9", 170 pounds. Kinlaw's like 6'5", 300 pounds of solid muscle. And the dude was just like, yo, you a bust. Your knee is a bust.
Oh, man,
I think that's what's wrong with the country in general, but that's another story.
Hey, we ain't going there.
As I said, that's another story.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Meltzer, who's basically AEW's, resident writer, like he'll tell you anything about it. Oh yeah, they're not gonna do this. This ain't gonna happen. I mean, as Bully
5 minutes later, it happened.
Yeah, as Bully
I was
Ray
giving
said it.
bad info.
I would never name a move after a dirt sheet writer. It's like
just being a
it's
mark
like
for
if you
yourself at that
named
point.
your finishing move the Bayless drop. Shit makes no sense, man.
The Colin Coward fucking DDT.
Oh,
Wow.
that's one person. Whenever he's on after that show, I flip it right away. I'm not watching him.
Fun fact about Colin Coward. Didn't know this until recently. I watched his show and I'm like, man, he really loves Jimmy Garoppolo and he really hates Trey Lance. I don't know why. Turns out Trey Lance was banging Colin Coward's daughter.
Ooh.
And then they broke up.
Okay.
I was like,
oops.
Well, you see a lot of like writers, reporters, like if they went to the same college as a player, they're gonna talk good about that player. If another player went to a college of their rival, he's gonna talk shit about it. But it's like with all these writers, reporters, wrestling journalists, I feel like they don't get all the facts straight. They don't put it out there. I mean, they give us a little taste of it, but it's basically clickbait bullshit is what it is.
yep. And then if you've never booked, you're automatically discredited.
I mean,
It's the weirdest thing to me. Is like I've never seen like anything like that because I grew up playing football and golf and and so I can smash any PTM fan at golf. Throw that out there right now. But you get these guys that are just like, yo, because you didn't book a high school gym, man. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Get the hell out of here.
dude, it's, it's funny. I was at a indie wrestling show probably about 17 years ago, maybe. My buddy was wrestling on the show. And I showed up early. I was the first one there. You know, I'm like, yo, I'm going to go support him because there's 4 of the people that I knew that were on the show. And I arrived, you know, first one there, where the referee was late. So they're like, yo, Joe knows, you know, wrestling. So they make me a referee. So I'm in there with a jeans and a shirt. And one of the dudes I know, like his dad brung me a referee shirt because they had like a little soccer shirt. So they just brung it to me. So I'm wearing it and I got jeans and a referee shirt. Here's the funny thing. So the actual referee arrives later and he's like, you know, next time you got to have, you know, these kind of pants. I'm like, listen, motherfucker. Like, I'm here as a fan. Not my fault your ass was late. But what's hilarious is these like wrestlers that were like also booking the show, you know, they're like, yo, man, you know, if you want to, you know, we could train you, you know, we trained your friends and we did good, didn't we? And the guys are like, yeah. I'm thinking like, oh, hell no. Like, not happening. I saw your last show. You were booking in an actual freaking bar. Your wrestling event was in the middle of a bar. I'm sorry. Not going to happen.
Was that a contract match?
You know what? It may have been. I'm not sure.
Or was that the urinal match?
Nothing like peeing on a belt.
Boom.
Definitely. Yo, man, you ain't lying, man. I had like jeans and I was like, holy shit. Like, this is weird. Like, I'm refereeing a match. You know, and it's funny, you know, that referee's like, oh, man, I don't got pics.
Everybody's like, hey, Joe, you got these Jordans in a size 12?
Hey, we got a challenge for you, E.
Anytime, any place, anywhere.
We could play Tiger Woods on the Wii.
Ooh, PS5.
I can say this. Like, I went to a wrestling show this past weekend. I was mistaken for a wrestler standing in the crowd.
Ahmed Johnson.
I will kill you. I was mistaken for Jacob Fatu.
I could see you with the dreads.
Like, we both have dreads now, and then it was just like...
With the red, too.
Exactly. It was just like... And it was like, he wrestled earlier, and I'm standing in the crowd talking to my buddy, and then he was just like, dude, you were just out there. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, weren't you just up there? I was like, yeah, my seat's up there. He was like, oh, I thought you were the wrestler. I'm sorry, man. I was like, okay.
You should have been like, yeah, I'm the other doink, you know, like I'm the other Jacob Fatu.
I'm Jacob Fatu's bum buddy.
I'm Jacob Fatu.
You didn't see the spot, kid, man? Me and Jacob switched places, you know, in the match. Like, shit's crazy.
Let's see. What else was it? Oh,
my brain's turning off topic real quick. Hey, if anybody from WWE is watching, let's drop some belts. Come on now. I'm jonesing.
I mean, we've been waiting since Rumble for the V2 Winged Eagle.
The V2 Winged Eagle, the Crumb Rhine.
Well, the end of May is Memorial Day, so an eagle could possibly drop around there. That
the 3D Big Gold?
Well, we don't know when that's coming still yet. We haven't even seen that. Because this is the Crumb Rhine that just popped up out of nowhere.
I am possibly going to Monday Night Raw when it's here. If they have the Crumb Rhine there before it drops on the shop, I'm going to buy it.
Oh, you're going to buy me one too. I'll send you the money.
But I don't know if they're at the live events. I don't know that, you know. So.
Somebody was at this past week's show and there was nothing there. So it might just be the big events where they're holding them all for.
See, I think that's WWE's way of like, yo, you want these belts? Come to our shows. Come to our big shows.
But isn't there a potential for you in Detroit this year?
There is a potential for me in Detroit at SummerSlam. Thinking about it, but I don't know. I may have other plans somewhere else, so still weighing my options. It is a 3-hour drive. Not bad. I've been to Detroit once. I know where it is. I'll go to the bar where I was there before and get a pitcher of beer and 4 shots for $15. Hopefully, it's still available.
Damn. Oh, there's this new thing going on Twitter where somebody said wrestlers shouldn't take photos with other wrestlers because they become marks at that point, which I don't understand. Like they're saying a young wrestler shouldn't ask a young or older wrestler for a photo. I'm sorry. More than likely, that's why they became a professional wrestler in the first place, because they were fans of that person that they saw.
Yeah, I mean, why does that make you a mark?
Yeah, well, Twitter universe is ridiculously weird. We all know this. But like I was confused, and a lot of wrestlers chimed in and said, no, like even veteran wrestlers were like, if you see me, you want to take a photo with me, go for it. I'm here to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like even though I don't like a lot of people, if you reach out to one of us and ask, hey, can you help us with your podcast? My answer is going to be no, but I'll consider it.
I am with you because I'm sorry to say this. I'm going back on the Bully Ray interview. He talked about like how Devon was at an Impact taping backstage. And a lot of the younger wrestlers were like looking at them like, oh my God, that's 3D. And he said a lot of the younger wrestlers came up like, yo, can we get a picture? And he's like, yeah, sure. Like, there's no issue with that. You know, if you got into being a wrestler because you were the fan of the peers before you, nothing wrong with getting a picture, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's actually showing them like, yo, I looked up to you. Like sometimes that guy may have been having a bad day. You wanted to take a picture with him or her, may have actually boosted that. Like, you know what? I'm not as bad. Maybe I don't need to hang it up. Maybe I can hang out and help them.
Don't be those people that chase people around the fucking airport.
That's different. Yeah. I agree with that.
Like, I'm sorry, if you're chasing somebody around with fucking 12 Funko Pops, like I swear to God, like you deserve to just get curb stomped.
Like, I never get it. Like when I went to like a UFC event, like in Fan Expo, you're getting pictures with the fighters, autographs. And then after the event, me and my buddy are looking around for a taxi in downtown Boston. We see all these UFC fighters walking down the street. And I'm seeing Shogun Hu and Vitor Belfort walking down the street together. And I walked to Shogun, like, Shogun, man, fan, can I get a picture? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. Cool. Like with WWE, at my work and my job, they come in. I will like shoot the shit with them, try to break the glass a little bit. Like, yo, man, hey, how you doing? How's your morning? Blah, blah. Some of them are pricks, Carl Anderson. Some of them are cool. I mean, it just depends.
That was very specific.
Right.
I mean, Carl Anderson, Michael Cole, few. I mean, we did have an Uso situation once, which was kind of hilarious. But like they're cool. Like Paul Heyman to me is my favorite one. He came in, I was like, yo, I just want to let you know I'm a fan. It's an honor. Because I've been following him, been a fan of him since back Paulie Dangerously days in WCW and then ECW and WWE. And I'm like, I just want to let you know I'm a fan. It's an honor. And he looked at me and he goes, the pleasure is all mine. And shook my hand. I was like, holy shit. Like, that's humble. Like, right there.
Like I said, if I happen to see a wrestler at the airport, it'll just be I'll give them the head nod and keep it moving. I'm not going to bother you.
Yeah.
Like, you're still a person, too. Like, I'm not going to be like...
I think the only person I ever met in public, I was at Johnny Rockets in Sacramento, and Vladi Divac walks in. Him, his tiny ass mom that was like 5 foot, and his like 7-footer cousin. And like they sit down there eating, people are going up to him and like, bugging him or something like that. I was like, I'm not going to do that. If I can catch him outside in the mall or something like that, because it was connected to a mall. And then so they got up and they were leaving. We were leaving, and I got an autograph, but they was outside. I was just like, "Hey, got a quick thing." It was cool, no nothing, and that was it.
Like this was years ago when he was still in Philly. I was at the haunted mansion, the haunted prison in Philly. There was Andre Iguodala there. I noticed him before anybody else did, and I walked up to him and said, "You're a pretty cool player." And he was like, "I'm not him. I'm not who you think I am." I was like, "Okay, whatever. I know you. I recognize you." Ain't no 6'7" guy just randomly walking around in Philly. And then he was like, "Thanks for keeping it cool and not trying to blow my spot." I was like, "I ain't gonna do that." I was like, you're a person too." Yeah. So
I had a Willie McGinnis house at Target, and he was in front of me in line. And I was like, "Yo, you're Willie McGinnis." He's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Yeah, you are." He's like, "Well, if you know who I am, then why would you ask me?" I'm like, "Damn, a dick soon?" Like, shit. Like,
well, that's like the Diaz's though, because like if you from Manteca or Stockton, like you always see them around. Like we were at Dick's Sporting Goods, and there's fucking Nate just chilling in the checkout line, buying some shoes or some shit. And then the boxing gym is like 2 blocks from my house, and you'll see Nick out there and the coach out there. Nick drives like a dick, by the way, but it's another story. But they're always out there. Never no issues, nothing like that. Nobody really pays no mind to them around here. They live that legend status around here.
But are they cool? Like they'll take pictures?
Yeah, never nothing. Just, hey, what's up? That's it.
That's how like a lot of them, like Stipe Miocic, like when he fought in Cleveland and beat Alistair Overeem. I was at the post-fight press conference, got my media sticker. Not saying how I got it, but don't worry about that. So I'm there, so I'm leaving after he's done. And I'm like, yo, Stipe, he's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" He's like, "You want a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool, Like that, that was like the fight when CM Punk's first UFC fight. So I was like, the section I was in, you had John Morrison, you had Matt Cross, MD 2020, you had Mick Foley's daughter there. Like I asked her, I was like, "Yo, can I get a picture?" She's like, "No, I got to get back to my seat." I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever." Morrison's walking by. I'm like, "Yo," this was when it was Johnny Mundo and Lucha Underground. I'm like, "Yo, can I get a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem." I'm like, "Yo, keep tearing it up in Lucha." He's like, "Awesome, thanks, man." Like, cool as shit. Like, even with NBA, NFL, MLB players, some of them, I'll say this, being around some of them on a daily basis, people get awestruck of them. Like, "Oh my God, that's this person, that's this person." To me, it's normal. You got to be able to break the ice with them first. Like, some of them can be pricks. But, some of them you can catch at a bad time. But some of them are really humble. Like, I'll tell you this. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do it.
I have a buddy that was in an elevator with Barry Bonds. Mm-hmm. Gets in the elevator, he's like, "Holy shit, it's fucking Barry Bonds." Mm-hmm. And this is at the height of Barry. This is at the height of his fucking career. And he walks in the elevator and it's fucking Barry Bonds. Mm-hmm. And he just looked at him and was like, he just put his hand out, was like, "Mr. Bonds, it's a pleasure to meet you. Congratulations on the year. You're having a great year." And he just looked at him and was like, "I have a great year every year."
Damn.
Didn't shake his hand, nothing. I was like, okay.
I forgot.
I'll tell you this story about these. So it was the Fastlane pay-per-view when they were facing The Miz and Shane McMahon. So that morning, the Usos are like, "Yo." They didn't have their gear yet, mind you. They're like, "Yo, our gear said it was arriving FedEx today." We're like, "FedEx does not deliver on Sunday." Show like, he was like, they were like frantically, trying to figure it out. I mean, they were cool in the situation, but they're like, "Yo, I need my gear." Like, they were calm as they could be, but you could tell they were like, yo, where's my freaking gear? Like Bray Wyatt came down. Like, he's cool as shit. Like, you're like, hey, Bray, how you doing? Hey, good. Yo, I like those sunglasses. These are my asshole sunglasses. And he just starts laughing. Like, it's that type of shit.
T.O. is a giant prick.
Oh, a lot of them are divas, yeah.
I forgot, like, your Barry Bonds story reminded me of somebody else that I thought that was a complete and utter dick. I thought of it already, but Jose Canseco.
His daughter, though.
I was working security at a museum in Philly. He was there for an event doing a speaking. I think his book was coming out. So they had me escort him through the building to make sure he was cool. And he was just, I was like, oh, I got my own personal security. I should have this at all times. I was like, then maybe you should pay them? Pay for your own security? I work for the museum. I don't work for you. And he was just like, he raised his nose up. I was like, you might not want to do this with me. I'm still kind of reckless. I was a little younger. So, but it was just like, you're only important because you snitched on your peers. Because you were juicing and couldn't do anything. So
that's truth.
That is truth.
Like, these people need to just be humble. Like,
yeah. Some of them let fame go to their head. A lot of wrestlers do. A lot of them like that are like low, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was like Sasha Banks, like she can be a prick, I'll tell you that much. Sometimes. But there was this girl at it was that Fastlane pay-per-view, like she was all decked out in Sasha Banks gear, waiting outside, like, yo, waiting for Sasha to come in. Sasha wasn't there yet. Or I don't think she was showing up, but like she was like she was just like head to toe. And Sasha's husband shows up because Sasha's husband is WWE seamstress. I don't know if he still is or not. Mm-hmm. But he showed up, saw this girl outside, went downstairs, came back up with all this Sasha gear and merch. Like, nice. Gave her like the wristbands that Sasha wears to the rings and gave it to the girl. Like, yo, here you go. I was like, no shit, that's respect.
That's the type of stuff you want to see. Like, these people are, you never know. They may be spending their last dollar to come see you.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this. You know who's really humble? Rhonda, when I met her.
I heard she's a sweetheart.
Yeah, as much as I shit on her UFC and WWE career, she's very nice.
I can see that. Because usually the people who have the worst characters are usually the best.
Do you watch her YouTube at all?
I do. I was on her YouTube channel one time in the Fastlane pay-per-view. Yeah, like, because she came in and like I didn't know who she was. Like, because she's in a car and she has a hat on and it's low. And I'm like, you know, like, can I help you? And she's like, you know, they're like, yo, she's talent. I'm like, who? And I look in, she raised her head. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, no, you're fine. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, they have like a full-on like farm and fucking raised chickens and all that shit.
Some Brock Lesnar shit.
Yeah. But that's kind of where we are this week. Maybe news will pick up a little bit more next week. Who knows? Maybe we'll get more info on the CM Punk situation. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more about what's going on with Backlash.
Maybe we'll get a title drop.
That's wishful thinking, but I'm right there with you.
What? I could see a split for the draft.
I forgot. Did we get a definitive date for the draft yet?
No.
Because that'll be helpful. Because once we get that, I would like for it to be a split like you said. Go back to, and then it kind of like, hey Roman, sorry, give me that belt, or let him keep both of those belts and you just create a new one.
Or give him the new one. Take the Universal or the other one to the other show.
Take the belt if you like. You can't take the belts from him and give him a new one. He kind of still has to.
Well, you can give him the undisputed super duper deluxe.
See, like, would you give him the undisputed or would you give him a big gold?
That's what I'm talking about.
Like,
I think he likes carrying the 2 belts, honestly, though, because he gets to go like this to Heyman while he's wearing one, and then raises both of them with his music just in time for the pyro. So I kind of think he likes the 2 belts.
Yeah, but a nice big gold belt. Just you know.
I mean, he's
Nice.
gone for a month, so I understand him not being on Backlash, so that's his month away.
Nice 13-inch plate.
See, that's what I thought would have happened. Like, Raw after Mania, he would have showed up. They would have had a stand in the middle of the ring. They unveiled the big gold belt for him.
Or
They needed a belt fit for the tribal chief.
He could have said, "I don't want this. You give that to the next guy." And then they could have had a tournament that night, crowned a new champion. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, I mean, by the time we go live next week, we'll see this Friday SmackDown and Raw if Vince is backstage or not.
Exactly. And we'll see if AEW continues to lose viewers.
Well, they lost it for the NBA playoff game, which is the play-in, which is understandable. Still did 860,000, which wasn't bad.
But they've been staggering right around that mark for a while now.
I think that's why. Maybe if they get punked, they go back to 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Never know. But maybe there'll be some information next week about that lawsuit for Endeavor and the shareholders. Maybe. I don't know.
True. We're still waiting on that because that deal's still not finalized.
No, they said it won't be finalized till the fall, so we'll see if...
So it's basically like that Activision one and Microsoft one.
Kind of.
Or was it Blizzard or Microsoft? But either way. We know a lot about nothing when it comes to these mergers, so...
We're just a podcast that talks wrestling.
Exactly. So... I guess we'll do what we do.
Bring back the crumb rind on shop.
Yes. Contact Ethan ASAP, like, you this weekend. Or, like, no. After the show go off. Contact Ethan.
Drop me a PM.
You know what? I'm going to say this about the crumb rind.
Uh-oh.
People need to stop complaining about which one to buy. Oh, my God. Dude.
Buy what fits your budget. Do
And
not
people
jump
hate
off
it
the
because
window.
my opinion, Groovy G's is the worst one.
I don't like that pattern behind the wrestling champion.
I hate the pattern. Lux would be number 2. Shop would be number 1. Classic Shields will obviously be A1.
See, like, people hate on Classic Shield. Oh, Classic Shield don't get this right. Classic Shield, oh, go for it C4. They're authentic, you know. I'm like, it's done by a real silversmith. I don't give a shit. It's the last belt I need to finish my damn collection. When it drops on shop, I'm buying it. I'll probably get it re-leathered with the screws exposed. The only issue is a nameplate. I'll just have it made.
Exactly. Well, we'll have more news for you next week, and if not, we'll have content for you no matter what, because that's what we do. Because we are who we are, you know who we are. So,
Or we'll just go on and shoot the shit. Talk about anything.
Fuck it.
Exactly. Because we are culture shock, so maybe we shocked the culture a little bit.
Yeah. It's a little different.
Yeah. So, we got Easy E, we got Joey V, and you got Jones. We out.